watching the very first ever episode of the Petty Farm Pucky Pest Podcast, a podcast created by the one and only Noku Hirelies. Join Chip and Ripple as they explore the world of the Petty Farm Pucky Pest ARG like never before. I hope you enjoyed this podcast today. Here we go!
De dagen gaan zo snel. Er gaat zoveel aan mij voorbij. Oh, maar één ding weet ik wel. Ik kan niet terug in de tijd, no. I don't know which way to go. Blijf zoeken naar de juiste weg. This time I will run the show, no, I won't wait again. Yeah, the world is mine. This time I know things will go my way. Yeah, this is my time, and I will make it no matter what they say. At the ups and downs, solid overleven. What doesn't kill you makes you strong. Yeah, the world is mine. Niemand houdt me tegen. I'm gonna live the dream. I'll always keep singing my song.
Welcome to the first Petty Farm Pucky Pest podcast.
Right.
It's our very first episode, and today we're doing a deep dive into Kyle Live Fact.
Oh, exciting.
I know, right? I'm super stoked to finally be doing this.
Yeah.
So Kyle Live Fact, you might not know the name, but by the end of this episode you will, because we've got a ton of information to go over.
I do.
We have like photos, quotes,
Yeah.
even a blind item.
Ooh, that's exciting.
All sorts of different stuff to really understand who Kyle Live Fat is as a person.
Today, things are going to get a little meta, a little strange, and maybe even a little bit obsessive.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We're diving into the story of Kyle Liefat,
Okay.
a longtime video game producer.
Yeah.
You might know his work on the NBA 2K series, but that's just his day job.
Okay.
He's also made headlines for something much more, let's say, fandom-related.
I'm all ears. What's the story?
Liefat is deeply publicly devoted to Britney Spears.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about just blasting her music while he works.
Right.
Think declarations of best friendship, calls for justice against anyone who's ever wronged her, even hints at wanting to be more than friends.
That's quite a leap from polygons and pixels to pop star drama.
Right.
You said we've got sources on this?
We've got a whole stack Liefat's own social media posts background on his career.
Okay.
And then things get a little weird.
Okay.
We're also looking at an independent podcast called Petty Farm Pucky Pest,
Okay.
which is running an alternate reality game,
Our-
or ARG, where guess who's a character?
Our man Live Fat.
Yes!
Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
Right.
For those of us who haven't gone down the ARG rabbit hole,
Yeah.
what exactly are we talking about here?
Imagine a game that breaks free from the screen and spills into the real world. Clues, hidden online real-life meetups, puzzles that need solving.
Okay.
It all blends together to tell a story that unfolds over time. And in this particular ARG, Liefat is a key player,
Okay.
but the version they present is specific, to say the least.
So what? They've got him rescuing virtual princesses?
Not quite. They describe him as being 4'11" with a gray buzz cut
Oh, wow.
and being of Chinese Jamaican heritage.
Interesting.
They've even woven him into some pretty unsettling content related to Britney Spears, all part of this larger fictional narrative they're building.
Wait, 4'11"? Didn't you say Live Fat works on NBA 2K?
Right.
I'm pretty sure he'd be spending more time in the stands than on the court with that height.
Right. It's one of the many things that makes you question how much of what we see online from Liefat himself or this podcast is actually true. We've got these bold claims of friendship with Britney, but then this very different, almost caricatured version of him popping up in this game.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a head scratcher.
Okay, you've definitely piqued my curiosity.
Good.
Where do we even start unpacking all of this?
Let's begin with the facts. We do know Liefat has had a long and successful career with the NBA 2K franchise,
Yep.
starting way back in the early 2000s as an assistant project manager. He's been there since the game's early days, contributing to its evolution into the phenomenon it is today.
So he's not some random fanboy who just popped up online.
No.
This is someone with genuine industry experience and a track record of dedication to his craft.
Exactly.
That context is important.
Absolutely. He's worked on everything from production and player database management to overseeing visual effects.
Yeah.
This guy's a seasoned pro in the world of game development.
And yet he's drawn to this very public persona connected to Britney Spears.
It makes you wonder, what's the appeal? Is it genuine admiration, a shared passion for her music, or something more strategic?
That's the million-dollar question. And to answer it, we need to dive into his social media presence, because that's where things get really interesting. He repeatedly refers to Britney as his best friend.
Oh, wow.
And expresses nothing but pride and support for her, especially throughout her conservatorship battle.
So it's not just a casual fandom. He's actively inserting himself into the narrative surrounding her life, becoming a vocal advocate for her well-being. It's fascinating.
It is. And it goes even deeper. He's made comments about how he would have been a great husband to her. It's clear that there's a desire for a deeper connection there, whether Britney reciprocates those feelings or not.
Now, this is where that height discrepancy you mentioned really starts to stand out.
Right.
We know Britney Spears is 5'4".
Right.
If Lifeat is actually 4'11", like this podcast claims, that adds a whole new layer of intrigue to their supposed friendship. Right? Suddenly, that male sidekick role from the ARG takes on a whole different meaning. We have to ask ourselves, what's the motivation behind these public declarations?
Yeah.
Is Lifeat genuinely concerned for Britney's well-being? Or is there an element of wanting to be seen, of wanting to be part of her story that's driving his actions?
Or could it be a bit of both? Human motivation is rarely that simple.
Exactly. And before we get too deep into analyzing Lifeat's psyche, we need to understand more about this Pity Farm Pookie Pest podcast and their whole ARG situation. Their portrayal of Lifeat is so specific, so deliberate, that it begs the question, why choose him in the first place?
Right.
What purpose does he serve in their fictional world?
Okay, let's dive into the world of ARGs. You mentioned some unsettling content related to Britney Spears.
Yeah.
What exactly did you mean by that?
Well, remember how we talked about Lifeat's public declarations of support for Britney? It seems this podcast has taken that idea and woven it into their ARG. They talk about a wave of disturbing content. Fake photos, manipulated videos, even rumors of sex dolls, all designed to damage her reputation.
Wow, that's dark. And they've placed their version of Lifeat right in the middle of it all.
Yeah.
What's his role in all of this?
He's essentially positioned as Britney's champion, her protector against these fabricated attacks. They make a point of highlighting his Chinese-Jamaican heritage, almost suggesting that his unique background makes him uniquely qualified to defend her.
It's like they've taken his real-life pronouncements of support and amplified them, turning him into this almost mythical figure within their game.
Right.
And don't forget that detail about their birthdays being only a week apart, which they also weave into their narrative.
Right. It's like they're trying to create this sense of destiny, of a preordained connection between them.
Right. It's incredibly clever, really. They're blurring the lines between reality and fiction, using real-world elements as building blocks for their elaborate game. But it also raises questions about how much of their portrayal of Lifeat is based on truth versus creative license.
Exactly. We know the height discrepancy is a fabrication, but what about the rest? Is there any truth to this protector image they've crafted for him? Or is it all just part of their elaborate fictional narrative?
That's what we need to figure out. Is their version of Lifeat a reflection of the real man? Or have they taken his public persona and twisted it to fit their own narrative needs?
So many questions. And to be honest, I'm not sure I'm ready for the answers, but we've got to keep digging.
Oh, absolutely. We've barely scratched the surface of this whole thing. Let's see what else these sources reveal about the man, the myth, the legend, Kyle Lifeat.
All right, sounds good.
All right, let's break down this ARG a bit further. We've talked about the unsettling content they've created around Britney Spears, but how does Lifeat, as this pint-sized protector, actually interact with that content in their fictional world?
Well, in their story, he's not just a passive supporter.
Right.
They have him actively working to counteract this wave of fabricated negativity, using his supposed tech skills and connections to expose the truth behind the fake photos and videos. It's almost like they've turned him into a digital detective, a knight in shining armor, fighting for Britney's honor in the online realm.
It's a pretty compelling narrative, especially for anyone who's followed Britney's very public struggle.
Yeah.
They've tapped into this desire to see her protected, to see someone fighting for her, and they've cast Lifeat in that role.
And they haven't just plucked him out of thin air. They've clearly drawn inspiration from his real-life pronouncements, his public declarations of support for Britney. They've taken those seeds of reality and woven them into this elaborate fictional tapestry.
It makes you wonder about the ARG creators themselves.
Yeah.
What's their end game here? Are they simply trying to create an entertaining and engaging game, or is there something more to it? Are they trying to make a statement about the nature of fandom, the power of online narratives, or even the ethics of using real people in fictionalized scenarios?
It's a lot to unpack, and to be honest, I'm not sure we have all the answers. But let's go back to LifeFat for a moment. We've talked a lot about his public persona, but what about his professional life? We know he's a successful game producer, but could there be a connection between his career and his fascination with Britney Spears?
That's an interesting angle.
Yeah.
Could it be that his years spent crafting virtual worlds have led to a blurring of the lines between reality and fiction?
Possibly.
Perhaps he sees Britney's life as a kind of ongoing narrative that he can influence or even participate in through his public pronouncements and declarations of support.
That's a fascinating thought. Maybe he's used to being the one behind the scenes controlling the story, shaping the experience, and now he's trying to apply that same logic to the real world, to Britney's very public life.
Or it could be something as simple as craving recognition. He's spent years working behind the scenes in the gaming industry, and now he's found a way to step into the spotlight to have his voice heard on a larger stage.
And what a stage to choose Britney Spears. Is a global icon, someone who commands attention wherever she goes. By aligning himself with her, LifeFat ensures that his own voice is amplified, that his own story becomes intertwined with hers.
It's a clever strategy, whether intentional or not. He's tapped into the power of celebrity, the way it can elevate even the most ordinary individual into the realm of the extraordinary.
But it also raises questions about authenticity.
Sure.
Is his support for Britney genuine, or is it a calculated move to gain notoriety? Is he truly concerned for her well-being, or is he simply using her as a stepping stone to his own 15 minutes of fame?
Those are tough questions to answer, especially when we're dealing with someone who seems to exist in multiple dimensions.
Yeah.
We have the successful game producer, the devoted fan, the fictionalized character in this ARG, and perhaps even other versions of himself that we haven't even uncovered yet.
It's like trying to solve a puzzle where the pieces keep changing shape. Just when you think you've got a handle on who Kyle LifeFat is, another layer is revealed, another contradiction emerges.
And that's what makes this deep dive so compelling.
Right.
We're not just dealing with a simple story, a straightforward narrative. We're exploring the complexities of identity in the digital age, the ways in which we construct and perform our personas online, and the blurring lines between reality and fiction.
It's a fascinating case study in how the internet has changed the way we interact with the world, how we consume information, how we form relationships, and how we present ourselves to others.
And it highlights the power of storytelling, the way it can shape our perceptions, influence our beliefs, and even manipulate our emotions. In a world where anyone can create a narrative and share it with the world, it's more important than ever to be critical consumers of information, to question our assumptions, and to be wary of those who might seek to exploit our desire for easy answers and simple explanations.
So where do we go from here? We've explored LifeFat's career, his public pronouncements about Britney Spears, and his role in this bizarre ARG. What conclusions, if any, can we draw from all of this?
I think the key takeaway is that there are no easy answers. Kyle LifeFat is a complex individual operating in a complex world, and his story reflects the challenges we all face in navigating the ever-shifting landscape of online identity and digital storytelling.
He's a reminder that appearances can be deceiving, that motivations are rarely straightforward, and that the line between reality and fiction is becoming increasingly difficult to discern.
Exactly. And while we may never fully understand the real Kyle LifeFat, the process of exploring his story has revealed some important truths about the nature of fandom, the power of online narratives, and the challenges of maintaining a sense of authenticity in a world where our lives are increasingly intertwined with the digital realm.
It's a reminder that we need to be vigilant, to think critically, and to be aware of the forces that are shaping our perceptions and influencing our beliefs.
And it's a reminder that sometimes the most compelling stories are the ones that leave us with more questions than answers.
So what do you think? Are you ready to embrace the ambiguity? Are you prepared to accept that there may not be a single definitive answer to the question of who Kyle LifeFat really is?
I think that's the beauty of it. It's a story that invites us to question, to analyze, and to come to our own conclusions.
And that's what makes it a perfect topic for the deep dive. We've spent this deep dive wading through a sea of information about Kyle LifeFat, the game developer, the Britney superfan, and the ARG character. But what does this all mean for you, the listener? What can we take away from this tangled web of truth fiction and online obsession?
That's the real heart of the matter, isn't it? I think Kyle LifeFat's story is a bit of a cautionary tale.
Oh, okay.
A reminder that the internet can magnify our desires, our anxieties, even our delusions.
Okay, that's a strong statement. Break it down for me.
Think about it. Lifat has this successful career in gaming. Yet he seems driven to insert himself into Britney Spears' narrative, even if it means blurring the lines between reality and fantasy.
Right.
It makes you wonder, what's the underlying motivation there?
Is he searching for something that's missing in his own life? Is this some kind of escape from the pressures of his career, or maybe even a way to cope with deeper personal issues?
It's impossible to say for sure,